Welcome to March Madness. So we had, a couple of days where all the planets were direct after Mars station direct after being in a pretty long retrograde in Cancer. But March is significant because there's so much happening with the astrology. So not long after Mars goes direct, we had Venus go retrograde very, very early on the 3rd of March. So that's very interesting in and itself, with Mars being the planet of masculinity. It's the divine masculine, and then Venus representing like femininity in females and being the divine feminine. Both of those planets going retrograde one after the other is really impactful. And so with Venus retrograde, we can expect issues around money, or just events around money and finances, because Venus does rule over that area. So for you personally, this could be revisiting debts, loans, your budget, how much money you're making. It could be you negotiating a higher pay rise, making a plan around your finances, a way for you to make more money. Sometimes all of that energy can come up, as well as the typical relationship and partnerships and cooperation themes that come up during a Venus retrograde. So you may have exes coming back, you might revisit relationships from the past, you might have some divorces, some relationships ending during this time. There's also events where contracts can be confusing, or peace and harmony negotiations could be at risk to fall through with this Venus retrograde. So think about the political alliances and events happening in politics and within policies. They might be a bit challenging, especially issues around females' rights definitely might be brought up during this time. It is about a 5 to 6 week retrograde with that Venus there in Aries. And when it's in Aries, these themes for this retrograde can be very fiery, very passionate. It's about the individual, it's about the self. It's about being brave, being heroic. It's about conflicts and disagreements. It is about irritations, being impulsive, being irrational. It's very reactive. And Venus is uncomfortable here. She's in detriment because this is Mars's house. Mars is the divine masculine, it's fire. She is the divine feminine, and she prefers to be in like Libra, the air sign, or an earth sign. And then we also do have the Mercury retrograde coming up in Aries as well, that will join in with that whole retrograde with Venus as well. So that will only be a 4-week retrograde, but it's still quite important with that same Aries theme. But then Mercury rules over communication, documents, contracts, social media, and the news. And then you also have 2 Cazimis during this time as well. You've got the Venus-Sun Cazimi and then the Mercury and Sun Cazimi while those planets are in retrograde. So that'll be pretty significant events as well as obviously the eclipse. The energy around the eclipses in March is quite pivotal as well. So if you watch my other stories, you'll definitely see more information about the eclipses coming up in March. So on the 14th or the 15th of March, you will have the Virgo eclipse. This is a full moon Virgo eclipse at about 23 degrees. And then on the 29th or the 30th of March, depending on your time zone, you'll have the Aries eclipse. And this is a new moon eclipse. And it's the last of the Aries Libra eclipses. So the very last one, it's the end of that chapter. But because it is a new moon, it is a new beginning. But it's the very last one of that series. But again, it's in Aries, so we've got the 2 retrogrades in Aries. We've got the Cazimis happening in Aries, and a little bit of that Pisces energy as well. And then you've got this last new moon of that series, as well as we've got a lineup from that Pisces to Aries axis, like those last degrees of Pisces and the early degrees of Aries for quite some time, like a lot of planetary focus during March. So definitely that March madness type of energy there. And then right at the end of March, around the 30th or the round about like the last day of March, you'll have Neptune moving into Aries, which is a big significant transit. It is in each sign for about 14 to 15 years, and it takes such a long time to go around the whole zodiac sign. So it's just going to move into Aries, where it's going to be there for the next 14 or 15 years. So there's going to be some huge events there for Aries as well.